Famously, the laziest hack subject of comedy is the differences between men and women. In case you haven't seen any of this material, it turns out that one half of humanity loves shoes and the other half loves football, but I won't spoil it for you by telling you which is which. A relatively recent trope of this kind, and one certainly not limited to comedians, is man flu. Oh, the hilarity of man flu. Women will struggle into work under any circumstances, won't they? But men, oh those hopeless men, first sign of a sniffle and it's a week in bed watching Top Gear. Well, no, that's just not true. The shoes and football things may be lazy and boring generalisations, but at least as generalisations they work. It can't be denied that most of the people at any given Jimmy Choo sale are women and most of the people at any given FA Cup final are not, I expect. Obviously, I can't stand the thought of going to either, and that's why, in comedy terms, I'm classed as a sexless robot. But the man flu one, surely that's a lazy generalisation that doesn't even have the saving grace of being accurate. I know men who take an irritating and misplaced pride in never being ill, and hence insist on bringing their infectious viruses with them to workplaces and parties, like self-congratulatory typhoid Marys. I also know women, astounding as this may seem, who are capable of making a bit of a fuss. Not that I'm saying the cliché is true the other way round. I'm saying it's not true at all. That some people like making the most of illness and other people are reluctant to give in to it. Some moan and some take it on the chin manfully, by which I mean humanfully. Because these people are no more split along gender lines than people who wear glasses and people who don't. So where did this man flu idea come from? In my experience, it's never discussed in groups solely made up of men, and when it's brought up in the company of both sexes, I swear that the men present, with a subtlety that belies the shouty and doltish stereotype of their gender, exchange glances. Just for an instant, just to check, with silently saying, "We don't really believe in this, do we?" "No, we don't. But we're not going to mention anything now, are we?" "Indeed not. If I know anything at all, it is that that discussion would not be worth the candle." Similar glance conversations are presumably had by the teenage children of devout Jehovah's Witnesses. In the battle of the sexes, the whole man flu consensus is territory men have, for whatever reason, tactically decided to cede. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's rhetorically almost impossible to argue against. The times you were ill and didn't mention it are, by definition, unrecorded by history. And the times you were so ill that you did follow identical behaviour patterns to the making of a big fuss about nothing. And ultimately, it's all subjective anyway. No one can ever know what someone else's pain feels like to them. Thank God. Or maybe men have decided that the unfair accusation of making a big fuss over a sniffle is preferable to many of the fair accusations women could make. After all, it is true that men make up most of the world's alcoholics, violent criminals, or despotic homicidal tyrants. It is true men structured societies for thousands of years designed to limit women's contribution to childbirth and washing up. They'd be within their rights never to shut up about all that. But if they're willing to take that as read, we're more than happy to get unfairly mocked for guzzling Lemsip.